This brings us to a very nice concept, which is replacing the contents of a string. So what do I mean by replacing the contents of the string? Let's just see an example. So let's say if I don't like kiwi anymore and I like oranges, and I need to update that. So variable fruits upgraded. Yeah, because it's a newer version, I won't do everything again. I just say fruits replace. Now replace takes two parameters. One is the string that it needs to find. In this case it's a kiwi. And two, the string that it needs to replace it with. So in this case it will be oranges. Now let's try to run the same example and put this out into console. Fruits upgraded, which is replace in action. I don't need all this. Let me clean it up. And I need to update the fruits upgraded out here. Let's clear the console and let's run. You can see it now says apple, banana and oranges. So replace comes in very handy when you need to replace a part of a string. What if you need to replace probably a repetitive string? So for instance, in this scenario where we had me twice, if I need to replace me with you, how will I do that? Well, it's actually not very difficult. What we can do is we can create another string which is called you, and instead of me we will replace it with you, and the string is text. Let's put it in action. So here you will run and see that find you if you can, but this me does not get updated. Now how do we do that? Well, regular expressions to rescue. What we can do is we can put in, instead of this, let's make this a regular expression. This means that a regular expression is basically a format in which it will search for the particular string. So in this scenario, when I put a /me/, it will search for me in the string, and the moment it gets the first string, it will do this. So when you pass in the first quote, it is as good as passing this as a regular expression. Now what if you want to have multiple instances? In this, you make it as a global by typing in a G. Now let's try and run the same example and see what happens. You can see this you got updated as well as this got updated. Isn't it cool? So you can actually create a new string from thin air, or probably without doing much, but just playing around with the whole string. Now one good thing I need to show you is, what if I do the same string printed, which means now I did a replace action. What will happen to the original string? Well, the answer would be it does not change at all, because strings are immutable, which means you cannot replace the whole string once and for all. It will always be there. And when you do any method or an operation on a string, it will always create a new string. So you can expect that your original string will not get updated. Let's see another example where we have another set of methods where we want to do a lowercase of a string or to uppercase of a string. And usually it is very helpful when you compare two strings. It is easier to convert them to a type case when you want it to be insensitive comparison. So let's see how we can do it. Let's do a console.log. Let's do text dot to lowercase and run. What happens? In this scenario, everything should be in lowercase, including the f. Similarly, if I want everything into an uppercase, I just change this and call the toUppercase method of the string. Let's see the results. Everything is in uppercase. You can also concatenate or probably add a string. We have already seen that if you need to concatenate a string, let's say variable x is equals to hello and variable y is equals to world. In this scenario, you can write variable z is equals to x concat y, and you can also write variable z1 is equals to x plus space plus y. Let's do a console log. The answer would be the same, z comma z1. Both should give us the same value, which is hello world. Here I did not give any space in concatenation. So how can we do that? Concatenate also lets you add one more string in as a parameter. So you can give in a space here, and let's clear the console and run it. And you can see you can run it very well. Concatenate method can be used instead of the plus sign that we use. Now let's say if in a string you want to extract a particular character, are there methods for it? Yes, the answer is there are two safe methods for extracting string characters. One is character at and character code at. Let me show you an example. So let's say I have x.char at, I want to say the first string, which is 0. In this case, let's try to put this onto the console. Console.log testing char at, and let's do a plus sign. Let's close this bracket. Oh, quotes are not the same. Okay, this should work. And the test character at 0th position is h. If I do a 1, it should give me an e, and the character is at e. So you can get easily the character that you want in a particular string using char at. What if you do a character code at? It will return a Unicode value of the string. So all the characters A, B, C, D to numbers that you see on the keyboard, they have a Unicode character. So what will happen if I want to do a, let's do character code at, let's play along and let's see what happens. So the character code, which is character code of E, is 101. Let's say another good example where we can convert a string into an array. What do I mean by that? So if you recollect, we had a string called fruits. Too much of data, but here we had fruits, and that had apple, banana, and kiwi. What if I need this in an array? Well, I have a method called as a split. What that will do is, let's do a variable fruits array is equals to fruits dot split. And on what will I split it? Because it's a comma separated list, I will put a quote and say split based of comma. Now console dot log the fruits array. Let's see what we get the answer. And it puts it into an array and it gives you the fields, which is apple, banana, and kiwi. You can also use another approach, which is splitting it based on space. So what, instead of the split that we gave here, I do a split based off space. What will happen? Well, let's try and see. Let's run this example and see what happens. And it got split based off the space. Similarly, you can split based off any character. I can also split it based off an A. Let's say a smaller case A. In that case, I may have many more data. So you can see banana got splitted into multiple because it had 2 A's. Actually 3 A's. So you can use split method to actually split a string into a set of smaller strings, which will be an array. If the separator is omitted, let's say you don't put in anything into the quotes that we have here, the returned array will contain the whole string in the index 0. Let's say empty string. What will this do? It will give you every letter split into an array, which means A would be the first item, P would be the second item, so on and so forth. The complete string reference will be shared in the downloaded document. So you can just go there and you can see what the complete list is, so that you know what methods are at your disposal when you're using strings. So that was all about strings. I'll see you in the next class.